deep inside me, there's part the Pacific Northwest person. My family, my mother's family comes from that part of the country, and so I have always loved the foods from that area. And I impart it part to the fact that they simply taste good, and part for the romantic idea that that's where part of my existence belongs. Today we're going to do salmon, and it is just a wonderful fish. It's great because it is forgiving for those of us who aren't as experienced in cooking fish, because it's a higher fat content, good healthy types of fat, by the way, and so that lets you, if you overcook it just a little bit, it still stays moist and tender and flavorful. This particular one is called ginger salmon or ginger sesame salmon, and we're going to start with a fairly large piece of heavy-duty aluminum foil, and to that I'm going to take about 4 fairly thin slices of onion. I've treated it with non-stick vegetable spray, by the way, to help us out later on to make sure nothing's going to stick to it. Just kind of break those apart, spread them out on the aluminum foil. This is basically similar to the old hobo meals that we all used to make around the campfire when we were young. It's the same kind of concept. We're going to put some matchstick carrots, and you do need to cut them fairly small or fairly thin as julienne them so that they will get done in time, because we're not going to have it in the oven for an extensive period of time. Now that's going to be the bed. We're going to put a 1-pound piece of salmon on top of that. Now, to tell how long to cook salmon, you want to cook it at a fairly high heat. We're going to cook it in a 450-degree oven. You could cook this on the grill as well. You measure it at its thickest point, and wherever that is, it's going to take 10 minutes per inch, so that this is maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. That's going to tell you how long this is going to need to be on the oven. So that works for basically all kinds of fish, 10 minutes per inch of thickness at a high heat. We're going to make a sauce to go over that. I'm going to take a small bowl, and in that we're going to take 2 teaspoons of freshly grated ginger. Now ginger can have a lot of heat, but cooked this way, it really doesn't seem to do that with the fish. It makes it really, really flavorful. We're also going to add 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, and we're just going to stir those together with a fork and whisk them together just a little bit, and then that's going to go over the salmon. Spread that over the top, and this is going to end up being steamed, so we're going to keep all those flavors that come out of these inside the pouch. Now you can season that with a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. I myself have always been confused on how, when it's still raw, I can get it to taste. But we're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and about that much salt. You can, if you're worried about the sodium content, you can save some of that to add later when you're ready to serve it. Now simply make a pouch out of this. Make sure you're using heavy-duty foil. If you don't have heavy-duty, then you should probably use 2 layers of the regular kind. And don't close it down real tight, because there's going to be steam come out of it, and we want to have room for that to expand. And then make a little bowl down on each of the ends so that it can catch any drip that comes out. Make sure you wrap it tight, because we want to keep the steam in there. Just don't press it down so you have room for it to expand. Now, since we're cooking it in the oven, I'm going to leave it on a cookie sheet. It's going to go in at 450 degrees for about 16 to 20 minutes. If you're doing this on a grill, you'd want to put it over medium coals, and it'll probably take around 20 minutes. Then you're going to check it, make sure it flakes fairly well when you think it's about done. Just like with hobo dinners, the mystery is now whether or not this is going to actually be done inside. So try to open the foil somewhat carefully so that if there's not quite where you want it to be, you can wrap it back up and stick it back in. Foil cools fairly quickly, but there's going to be a lot of steam coming out, so do it gently. Oh, doesn't that look great? Now this is going to get even more colorful. You'll notice there's that sauce that's developed in there. Well, we're going to move the fish on over. Now, if you don't like the skin of the fish, this would be a time when you could actually remove that. We're going to move that over to a bed of spinach, and it's going to start to cook some of that spinach that's underneath, but it's still going to retain all that gorgeous color. And then we're going to take these carrots that now have all this wonderful flavor and the onions and put that over the top of that, and it's just going to look great. And trust me, the taste on this is just about enough to die for. It's got enough sweetness from the carrots, the onions, and the salmon itself has a degree of sweetness too. If you've not tried salmon, or you're not a fan and you've been a little leery, really, trust me, this is one you've got to use. It uses some of the nice fall vegetables from the garden, adds a lot of pre-vitamin A, the omega-3 fatty acids that are in the salmon, and the fact that this is simply just a wonderful thing to try. I hope you're going to give this one a try for sure. It's Ginger Sesame Salmon. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.